Welcome to the Reddit mic. Today we're diving into a collection of compelling, real-life dramas sourced from Reddit. It's going to give us a pretty candid look into the messy, beautiful, and sometimes, well, terrifying world of human relationships.
Indeed, and we've got a fascinating array of stories today. Everything from, bewildering betrayals within friendships and family,
right,
to some really chilling tales of obsession and control, and thankfully, even a heartwarming, unexpected journey to love.
So let's unpack this. We're kicking things off with a story that took a really wild turn. It was shared by a listener who sent us excerpts from the Reddit post. My boyfriend, M25, and I, F23, had an argument that is giving me red flags. Is it enough to leave our years-long relationship? So this woman recounts a boyfriend, seemed totally normal before, who suddenly became controlling and menacing.
Okay.
The boyfriend, he's 25, usually introverted, right? Suddenly demands a curfew for the OOP. She's 23, just because she's going to a party without him.
Wow, a curfew.
Yeah, and when she understandably expressed discomfort, he actually punished her by making the curfew even stricter.
Oh, that's classic control behavior.
Right, so credit to her, the OOP immediately packed a bag and left.
Good for her, seriously.
But the escalation didn't stop there. When the OOP's mother went to get her belongings, the boyfriend apparently appeared psychotic, made it clear he was holding a gun.
Whoa.
Refused entry, and had an AR-57 rifle set up in the kitchen ready to go.
Oh my God, that's just terrifying.
Yeah. The OOP's family eventually got her things, but they needed a police escort. Then the boyfriend's parents, who are lawyers, apparently got involved, got him out of the house and being monitored back at their home.
Okay, so there's some intervention, but still.
Right. But then later, he texted the OOP, joking about her not fucking her ex, and he meant himself.
Manipulative.
Totally. And trying to coerce her into a meeting, even threatening to put a scorpion in your bed if she didn't meet him on his terms. He even showed up where her father was.
This is incredibly alarming behavior. The escalation is extreme.
No kidding. Commenters widely speculated it could be a psychotic break. Schizophrenia often manifests around age 25, or maybe influence from manosphere content online. Those communities can be really toxic.
Well, promoting very controlling, misogynistic views sometimes.
Exactly. But the advice from everyone was unanimous. Prioritize your safety. Do not meet with an abuser. Period.
And here's where it gets really, really interesting, or rather terrifyingly informative. This story is such a stark reminder of how quickly a relationship that seems stable can become dangerous. That sudden extreme shift in behavior, the presence of weapons, those manipulative texts, it all points towards either a severe mental health crisis or, frankly, deeply ingrained controlling tendencies. Or maybe both.
Yeah.
And it really makes us consider, why do we sometimes second-guess our gut feelings when we see behavior that alarming?
Mm-hmm. That doubt creeps in.
It does. The whole discussion around Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear feels incredibly relevant here. It highlights how our subconscious often picks up on danger signals long before our conscious mind fully processes them.
Right. Listening to that inner alarm bell.
Precisely. The absolute core lesson from this story has to be recognizing and acting on red flags, no matter how unsettling or out of the blue they seem. It just emphasizes that your physical safety, your mental well-being, they have to come first. Always. Even in long-term relationships. And seeking external help, police, family support organizations, it's crucial when you're dealing with someone volatile.
We've seen how boundaries can be, violently ignored, and how relationships can turn dangerous almost overnight. Let's shift now to an even more intricate web. The complexities of loyalty and betrayal, but this time within families.
Okay.
We have a story from the Post. AIT for financially screwing over my sister after finding out she's close with my ex and his wife.
Right.
The original poster here recounts supporting her sister financially for a while, only to discover a secret that was deeply unsettling for her.
Right.
So the background is the OOP went through a really devastating divorce after her husband cheated, left her with a young son. She describes immense emotional distress, cut off friends who defended the ex. Standard, understandable reaction, really.
Yeah, very common.
Years later, she discovers her sister, who's 28, had been secretly best friends with her ex-husband's new wife, the affair partner, for 6 years.
Oof, okay. That's a betrayal on the surface, for sure.
Right. But here's the sister's justification for the secret. She says that 5 years prior, she had a life-threatening accident. And during that time, the OOP's parents were barely around, but the ex and his new wife were the ones who stepped up.
Ah, okay, a twist.
A big one. They apparently took her to appointments, cared for her when, in the sister's words, the OOP was too busy trying to manage a recent divorce, a small child, a career, and whatever was left of my mental health.
Why?
And the sister emotionally stated, quote, "You weren't. You didn't even come to the hospital. I thought I was going to DIE and you didn't even show up."
Oh, that's heavy. That adds a whole different layer.
Doesn't it? Commenters picked up on this, highlighting the idea of missing reasons, like maybe there's crucial context missing from the OOP's side of the story.
Right, suggesting the OOP might be an unreliable narrator. Her perspective might not capture the whole truth of that period.
Exactly. They pointed out that the sister's actions, while definitely hurtful to the OOP, seemed to stem from this deep feeling of abandonment during her own crisis. So the complex dynamics of who should have been there, it got really messy.
This story just plunges us right into the murky waters of family loyalty and conflicting truths, doesn't it? It's so easy initially to side with the cheated on spouse, the OOP.
Absolutely.
But then the sister's perspective comes in, revealing this really deep-seated wound of abandonment, and it completely flips the script.
It really does.
It forces you to ask, can one person's trauma justify what feels like a betrayal to another person? It's complicated.
Yeah.
It makes us consider that there's almost always more to learn, and that these complex family histories, they profoundly shape how people respond in a crisis.
Yeah.
It makes finding clear-cut blame really, really difficult. This particular narrative really pushes you, the listener, to look beyond those initial appearances in family conflicts. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that our own pain, which is absolutely valid, can sometimes blind us to the legitimate needs and experiences of people close to us. And that can lead to these unforeseen, deep relationship rifts.
From the complexities within a family, let's move to another kind of painful betrayal, this time within a close friendship. Our next story comes from a post titled, "I just found out that my best friend has been telling all of our friends that my boyfriend tried to cheat on me," with her +1 year update.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. This explores just how destructive someone you consider a best friend can actually be. This listener discovered her supposed best friend was actively trying to sabotage not just her relationship, but her career too.
Well, okay. Sabotage.
So the OOP, she's 23, starts dating a guy named George. Her best friend, Ellen, reacts really negatively right away, making passive-aggressive comments like, "Oh, you're always choosing George over your friends," and consistently refusing to hang out or meet George.
Okay, so jealousy or possessiveness maybe, right from the start.
Seems like it. But then Ellen starts actively spreading lies to their mutual friends, claiming that the OOP's boyfriend, George, had actually tried to cheat on me with her, with Ellen.
Whoa, that's a huge escalation, fabricating something like that.
Huge. And Ellen didn't stop there. She also started causing hostility at their shared workplace internship.
Oh, crossing personal and professional lines now. That's messy.
Very messy. Commenters were trying to figure out Ellen's motives. Was it unrequited love for the OOP? Or maybe for George? Or just deep-seated jealousy? Or maybe just a toxic need for attention and drama?
Could be any of those, or a combination. It sounds like classic toxic friend behavior.
Yeah, someone mentioned the concept of a missing stare friend. That person whose bad behavior everyone just learns to step around or make excuses for instead of actually addressing it.
Yeah. I've heard that term. It fits sometimes.
Well, the 1 year update is pretty interesting. The OOP successfully navigated that hostile work environment Ellen created, got a glowing recommendation, was hired full-time at the company, and got accepted to a top medical school.
Wow. Good for her.
Yeah.
Thriving despite the negativity.
Totally. And she plans to marry George. Ellen, on the other hand, rejected from every single department she applied to at that same company.
Huh. Well, sometimes things have a way of working out. That update really highlights the destructive power of jealousy and insecurity within friendships, doesn't it?
It really does.
And a critical point that emerges here is, well, why? Why do some individuals resort to fabricating stories and actively sabotaging others' relationships or careers? It's baffling sometimes. But the success of the OOP, despite everything Ellen threw at her, that offers an important insight too, I think. That your own integrity, your performance, it can often speak louder than gossip, even in a professional setting.
That's a hopeful takeaway.
It is. And the story also kind of shows how sometimes losing a friend like Ellen, well, it can actually clear the path for your own personal growth and happiness.
Yeah, addition by subtraction sometimes.
Exactly. Have you, the listener, ever encountered a friend who seemed to undermine your happiness or spread rumors? This deep dive into a toxic friendship might help you understand the dynamics at play there, and it really affirms how important it is to recognize those unhealthy relationship patterns and ultimately prioritize your own peace.
Our next story is, if anything, even more unsettling. Aitia, for walking out on a double date my friend set up, with him his girlfriend and a girl I had already rejected before. Now, for those maybe unfamiliar, AIT stands for Am I the Asshole?
Right.
So the original poster, OOP, describes feeling initially guilty for walking out on this double date, but then the full chilling reality of the situation really came to light. So the date was set up by OOP's friend, Joe, with Joe's girlfriend and this girl named Jane, who the OOP had already rejected before.
Okay, so red flag number one right there.
Exactly. Then the OOP later realizes Jane's behavior is, and this is a quote, obsessive and stalkerish. And here's the thing. Both Joe and his girlfriend knew this.
Wow.
And they still set up the date, but it gets, honestly, truly unsettling. Jane had created an alias online.
Oh, no.
And infiltrated OOP's internet friend group just to keep tabs on him. Messages about their quote-unquote date were actually sent from this fake account.
That's terrifying, the premeditation there.
Right. And even after being shunned by all friends, Jane still contacted the OOP twice from random accounts, once apologizing, but then quickly turning it to talk about us.
Oh, dear.
And another time just to curse at him. She seems completely convinced there's an us.
Yikes.
The commenters understandably expressed serious fear. They noted how Jane's persistence and that infiltration are textbook stalking and how dangerous it is, regardless of gender.
Absolutely.
And they really called out Joe's role in enabling her. Reading that, my first thought was just how terrifying that level of intrusion feels. What do you make of that shift for the OOP from guilt to understanding?
Well, what's truly fascinating, like you said, is that shift. How the OOP's initial guilt melted away as he grasped the depth of Jane's manipulation and, frankly, obsession. And it really begs the question, doesn't it? Why are male victims of female stalkers often not taken as seriously in society?
That's a really good point.
The comments really push back on this idea that no doesn't always mean no when the pursuer is a woman. Some even pointed out that, the persistent suitor trope we see in rom-coms, sometimes that's actually a dangerous individual in real life.
Yeah, it's not romantic, it's scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The chilling takeaway here, your gut feeling is your first line of defense. When someone steamrolls over a clear boundary like that, don't try to rationalize it. You need to act. This story is just a stark reminder of how insidious ignoring boundaries can be, and how critical it is to take all forms of stalking seriously, no matter who is doing it. It definitely makes you think about how we might, even unknowingly, downplay or enable harmful behavior in our own circles.
That is a tough mirror to look into, isn't it? Because you could argue, well, aren't you just being nice or supportive? But yeah, this story shows exactly where that line gets crossed into enabling. And speaking of alarming lines being crossed, let's dive into a story that really defies the traditional expectations of how love and family are supposed to come together. This listener shared an update from a post called, "I'm in love with my baby's mom, but she wants to leave. It's quite a journey, from a one-night stand to a blossoming family."
Okay, I'm intrigued. A one-night stand.
Yep. So the OOP, he's 27, and Mila, she's 25. They had a one-night stand after both getting out of long-term relationships, and, well, it resulted in a baby.
Ah, the unexpected consequence.
Exactly. So they decided to co-parent and started living together, but strictly as friends. But over time, the OOP fell deeply in love with Mila. He was, in his words, terrified of ruining everything by confessing his feelings.
Oh, the classic friends to lovers dilemma, but with higher stakes.
Totally higher stakes. But here's the heartwarming twist. Mila felt the exact same way.
No way, really?
Yes, but she was insecure about her post-pregnancy body and didn't think he'd find her attractive anymore. So both were hiding feelings for the same reason, essentially, fear.
Wow, that's kind of beautiful and sad at the same time, the misconnection potential.
Right. But they finally had a long conversation, confessed their mutual feelings, and decided to start a real relationship.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. Communication for the win.
Definitely. And the update, they've been together for 8 months now. They're engaged. And they're planning to give their son, Andy, a sibling after the wedding.
That's wonderful. Such a wholesome outcome.
Isn't it? And there's this quirky side detail. The birthday boy from the party where the original one-night stand happened, apparently he got so drunk he stole a dog.
He stole a dog.
Yeah. Which the OOP then adopted and named Oswald, and Oswald is reportedly fine.
Okay, that's an unexpected bonus bit in this story.
Right.
Oswald the purloined pup.
Exactly. Commenters absolutely loved this task failed successfully narrative, Such a wholesome outcome, especially compared to a lot of the drama you usually find on Reddit. What's your take on this unexpected path to happiness?
Oh, I love this story. What's truly fascinating here is just how these two people found their way to a genuine, committed partnership from such an unconventional beginning.
Right. It's not the fairy tale start.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it really challenges those societal assumptions about how relationships should begin. It highlights the profound power of just open communication and vulnerability, even after years of living together in a different dynamic.
Taking that risk.
Taking that risk. And you have to ask, right? In a world that's often so focused on perfection, on finding the right way to do things, are we sometimes too quick to dismiss potential happiness just because it doesn't fit a conventional mold?
That's a great question.
This story, especially the charming addition of Oswald, the purloined pup, it just beautifully illustrates that sometimes the greatest treasures, the best relationships, are found on the most unexpected paths.
Yeah.
What we really learn from this narrative, I think, is that love can genuinely be found in the most unexpected circumstances. And that true connection often blossoms when we finally dare to be vulnerable and communicate our authentic feelings. It really encourages all of us, you included, to keep an open mind about relationship journeys and maybe trust in the process a bit more, even when it feels uncertain or doesn't look like the movies.
All right, moving on to the next story. Imagine you're doing almost all the work at home, right? The cleaning, cooking, even planning the vacations.
Yeah.
And then you overhear your partner basically taking all the credit for it. And maybe even adding a bit extra.
Oof.
That's pretty much the wild scenario we're diving into today, pulled from this series of online updates that really got people talking.
It's a really fascinating look, isn't it? It gets into those hidden dynamics in a relationship, the power of wanting approval from others.
External validation, yeah.
Exactly. And what happens when how things look on the outside is completely different from the reality inside.
Yeah.
We'll follow this husband's story feeling unappreciated, then uncovering this pretty shocking betrayal.
But also surprisingly how they tried to move forward from it.
Right, that path towards maybe reconciling or at least changing things.
So our story kicks off with this husband. He figures he handles maybe 90% of the household stuff, cooking too, for 15 years.
15 years is a long time.
It is. And then he overhears his wife telling her friends how she keeps the house spotless. All her.
Wow.
So he confronts her, naturally. And her reaction, she says she just wanted to fit in, then flips it, accuses him of weaponizing his help.
Weaponizing. That's a strong word choice.
It really is. What does that immediate defensiveness, that accusation, tell us about what's really going on there?
Oh, yeah, that's crucial. It signals this wasn't just, a simple misunderstanding.
Right.
It escalated so fast because it basically ripped the cover off this big imbalance, this lack of real appreciation that was already there.
Okay.
And you see her just double down. She won't budge on changing the chores, brings up being the moneymaker.
Even though he worked, too, just more flexibly, which is why he managed the house.
Exactly. So it just shows this fundamental disregard for everything he's doing.
Yeah.
It really paved the way for, worse things to come out.
And they definitely did. Things got much worse. He had this gut feeling, checks her phone later, finds a group chat. Yeah. She wasn't just venting to her work friends. She was actively, mocking him.
Mocking him.
Calling the lunches he packed for her humiliating, admitting she threw out his homemade baked goods at work.
No. Seriously.
Seriously. And the kicker, a photoshopped meme of him scrubbing a toilet, wearing a dress.
Wow. That's incredibly cruel. That level of calculated humiliation.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is.
Yeah.
The private mockery, that meme, it just screams contempt, doesn't it? For so many people, that would be it. Done.
Absolutely.
And the sources did mention, interestingly, that this work environment she was in, it sounded pretty toxic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of rewarded people for putting others down to climb the ladder or just fit in, which probably fed right into that need for external validation you mentioned.
Right, needing approval from others.
Exactly. Deriving her self-worth from what they thought, maybe amplified by that workplace. It's staggering, though. Imagine your partner doing that. Like the commenter said, most people would brag relentlessly about a partner packing lunches or baking. They called him a glitter-stained unicorn.
A glitter-stained unicorn. I like that. But yeah, that level of contempt, it feels almost impossible to come back from. Did the sources give any clue why they even tried?
Surprisingly, yeah. It seems after he found all that out, something shifted. She gave him what he called a real apology.
A real one.
Took responsibility, admitted she was trying to play both sides,
Yeah.
keep up appearances with her friends, basically.
To fit in, like she first said, but way worse.
Way worse. And she suggested marriage counseling, plus individual therapy for herself to deal with that validation seeking, and for him, maybe for, taking on too much for too long.
So, okay, there's a flicker of hope there. They actually go to therapy.
They do, and things start to change. She starts taking more initiative at home. The chores shift to more like 70-30.
Still not 50-50, but better than 90-10.
Definitely an improvement. And she starts looking for a new job. Acknowledging that toxic environment played a big part.
That's a big step.
It is. And it raises that fascinating question, doesn't it? Can real change happen just because you get caught? Or does it have to come from some deeper internal place?
Yeah, what did the source suggest?
It seemed like maybe a bit of both. Like getting caught was the massive wake-up call she needed to actually confront those deeper issues about needing approval and how it was hurting her actual relationship.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for us, for listeners? This whole story really highlights how chasing that external validation,
especially when work or social pressure ramps it up,
can just completely corrode the trust and, frankly, the dignity inside a relationship. It makes you question, how real are our connections if we prioritize how things look over how we actually treat each other privately?
Absolutely. It really challenges us, I think. In this world where online image can feel so important for belonging, how do we make sure we're actually loyal to the people right in front of us?
Instead of just performing for others.
Right. And maybe what does it take for a couple to not just forgive something like this, but to genuinely rebuild that respect? How do we make sure we see and appreciate those
glitter-stained unicorns
in our own lives? Something to think about.
Moving on to the next story.
Okay, let's kick things off with a story that just perfectly illustrates this whole concept of invisible labor. And the frustration that boils over when it goes unrecognized. We're looking at Zucchini's post from back in August 2020. She's a stay-at-home mom, had a 12-year-old son, a 13-month-old baby, and on top of managing the house and the kids, she was also going to school part-time and helping her son with e-learning during the pandemic. A lot going on. So one day, really rough day, battling severe migraine, she lies down for a nap. Her husband comes home, sees her sleeping, and immediately just launches into this angry tirade, accusing her of, quote, not doing anything all day except sleep, eat, and get fat.
Wow. Yeah. The Zucchini story. It's not just about invisible labor, is it? It's such a stark reminder of what psychologists call the fundamental attribution error in relationships. That's, the tendency to blame a partner's behavior on their character, like saying they're lazy, instead of looking at the situation, like a severe migraine or an overwhelming pandemic workload. It really highlights how quickly we can dismiss effort we don't see, especially when we lack context or, frankly, empathy.
Absolutely. And Zucchini, she was just fed up, done with his dismissive attitude. So she decided, okay, time for a lesson. She arranged some temporary work through a friend, left her husband this meticulously detailed daily schedule of everything she did. Everything. So what happened? Day 1, he calls her 20 times, completely overwhelmed by the kids, the schoolwork, everything. Day 2, 10 calls. And both days, she comes home, finds him exhausted, asleep on the couch. Then by the third day, he just drops the kids off at her workplace. Doesn't even say a word. She gets home later, and he's still asleep on the couch. But here's the kicker. Despite him clearly failing, visibly failing, his reaction wasn't an apology. Oh, no. It was to accuse her of trying to make him look like a shit parent.
It's a classic and really painful example of what's called weaponized incompetence. It's essentially a manipulative tactic, right? Someone pretends they can't do a task or they do it so badly that the partner just gives up and takes it back. So instead of actually learning from this direct experience, her husband just shifted the blame, refused to acknowledge the immense workload his wife carried. And the Reddit comments were quick to point out his actions, not hers, were what made him look like a shit parent.
Yeah, totally. The Zucchini story, it's infuriating, but what's really fascinating is that this whole struggle is not just confined to traditional gender roles anymore. Not at all.
Moving on to the next story. We're looking at totally understandable parental friction became this catalyst for a huge act of family support.
It really makes you think about what family means, doesn't it?
It does. It goes beyond biology here, into choice and compassion.
So let's set the scene. This starts May 19th, 2023. We have the original poster, OOP's 31, his wife Amber, 30, and their little girl Emma, who's 7.
And the problem revolves around Amber's best friend Jennifer, also 30, and her daughter Harper, also 7.
Okay, so same age kids, best friends maybe.
Seems like it. But Jennifer and Harper were there. A lot. Almost constantly, according to OOP.
And Harper's biological dad.
Yeah.
Not exactly in the picture, right?
Yeah. Not really. OOP called him a lazy sack of crap. Apparently bragged about never changing diapers, just refused to be involved.
Oof. Okay, so what was OP's main issue then? Just them being around too much?
It was more specific. He had this dedicated Saturday time with his daughter Emma, zoo trips, bike rides, even a kid's salon.
Oh, daddy-daughter time.
Exactly. But Harper was always included. And on top of that, OOP and Amber were paying for Harper's dance classes because her dad wouldn't.
Wow, okay. That adds another layer. They're financially supporting her too.
Right. And the real breaking point, Mother's Day, OOP felt pressured to buy Jennifer a gift. He felt that should be the deadbeat dad's job,
Yeah, I can see how that would rankle.
It led to a big argument. He told Amber he was tired of raising Harper. Pretty harsh words.
And the result?
Amber ended up sleeping in the guest room. Reddit, for what it's worth, said OOP was not the asshole in that specific situation.
Okay, but that's rarely the whole story, is it?
Definitely not. The first update, just about 2 weeks later, June 2nd, changes everything. We find out OOP was missing some massive context.
Oh, okay. What was it?
Amber's reaction wasn't just about his words. It was because she'd recently learned about Jennifer's terrible home situation.
Yeah.
We're talking possible domestic and financial abuse.
Oh, wow. Okay. That completely reframes Amber's reaction.
Absolutely. And that Mother's Day incident, it wasn't just OOP's breaking point.
It was Jennifer's, too.
Yeah. Hearing Harper ask OOP for a gift apparently made Jennifer realize her daughter didn't see her biological father as a dad at all.
Yeah.
It was the final straw. She was desperate to leave.
But she had no support, no money.
Exactly. No family nearby, very few resources. And just as Jennifer hit her breaking point, and Amber was figuring out how to help.
That's when OP had his outburst. Terrible timing.
Just awful timing. But crucially, once OOP understood the full picture of the abuse, the desperation, his perspective, did a complete 180.
So his anger wasn't really at Jennifer or Harper.
No, he realized his issue was squarely with the deadbeat dad, not them. So they talked, really talked, and quickly decided Jennifer and Harper should move in with them.
Into their house. Wow, that's a big step.
Huge. They had a 4-bedroom house. Amber moved her office to the basement to make space. And their daughter, Emma, she was apparently super happy to have her friend living there.
Okay, so they went from major friction to opening their home. That's quite a shift. What happened next? The updates span almost 2 years, right?
Yeah, May 2024 and then July 2025. And Jennifer's progress is, frankly, amazing. She started nursing school.
Which they paid for.
Get this, her employer paid for it.
No way! That's incredible.
Isn't it? She graduated, passed the NCLEX, that's the big nursing exam, and landed a job on a med-surg telefloor, which is, a pretty demanding unit.
Good for her. That's fantastic. And the divorce.
Finalized. Apparently, it got fast-tracked when the ex got his new girlfriend pregnant and married her. Classy.
Unbelievable. What about Harper? How did she adjust to all this?
She really thrived, kind of shockingly well, OOP said. Got into soccer, video games. She and OP became Lego buddies.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, OOP felt that knowing she had consistent, positive fatherly attention, no matter what, gave her this new freedom. And she and Emma stayed best friends through it all.
And the biological dad, still absent.
Pretty much. OOP notes he only saw Harper maybe 3 or 4 times in over 2 years, just continued the pattern.
While OP stepped up massively, what about their own family dynamic? Did things settle?
Yeah, they found a new normal. OP and Emma kept their daddy-daughter dates. He found some me time. Amber became the main breadwinner, which added stress, but she took up running to cope. Seems like they navigated it.
And eventually, Jennifer and Harper moved out.
They did. July 2025. They got their own apartment with a pool, which sounds like a big win for the kids.
That's wonderful. A really positive outcome.
And Jennifer, using money from her divorce settlement, started paying OOP and Amber back, but in really thoughtful ways, like gifting them entry to a Run Disney event and then a full family trip to Disney World for all of them.
Wow. That's generosity meeting generosity.
It really is. OP said he was happy being the cool uncle now.
Yeah.
This whole thing, which started with so much tension, became this amazing long-term solution.
It really shows that village idea in action, doesn't it? But it also shows how that village can form from, unexpected places, even conflict.
Right. It wasn't a pre-planned support system. It grew organically out of addressing that initial frustration, but with empathy once the full story was known.
It shifted everything.
And it makes you wonder, Think about the lasting impact on Harper, this consistent, caring male figure in her life, OOP. What does that teach her about family, about love, about stability?
Things her biological father clearly couldn't or wouldn't provide.
Exactly. So what does this whole journey really tell us about parenthood? Is it just biology? Or is it about showing up, being present, being that cool uncle even, and forming bonds that might end up being the strongest ones of all? Something to think about. Moving on to the next story. Okay, so let's get into the details. The main incident involves a 23-year-old woman, and she has an 11-year-old dog named Stixie.
Right.
Her boyfriend of 3 years, this guy Jay, he secretly took Stixie, get this, 80 kilometers away.
80 kilometers. That's quite a distance.
Yeah, to a vet clinic. And
Yeah.
the intention was to have the dog put down. When you read that part, what, immediately struck you?
It's just the sheer coldness of it.
Nah.
The premeditation, driving that far.
Yeah,
It's chilling.
totally.
But here's where the story takes a turn, this really wild bit of luck.
Okay.
An ex-flatmate of the owner, someone she used to live with, just happened to be working at that exact distant vet clinic.
No way.
Yeah. He recognized Stixie immediately and called the owner right away. He even got security footage of Jay dropping the dog off.
Wow. So she gets this call.
Yeah.
What was her reaction?
Well, she described it as being half numb and half stunned beyond rational thought, just completely floored. Couldn't even get functionally angry at first.
I can imagine, just pure shock.
Exactly. And that really shows how overwhelming a betrayal like this is. But interestingly, it was advice from the online community, from Reddit, that kind of spurred her into action.
Right, sometimes you need that outside perspective.
Totally. They told her, secure Stixie first, make plans for his safety now, and get witnesses for when Jay comes back. It shows how important that external validation can be when your reality is just shattered.
That's such a good point, especially when you're probably doubting everything. So she starts strategizing, right? Checks the lease, confirms she's the sole leaseholder, Jay's just a boarder. That gave her, a bit more confidence for the confrontation.
Good, practical step.
And thankfully, Stixie was checked out and found to be healthy. She planned to get him microchipped immediately, first thing Monday.
Which is so important anyway, but especially after something like this.
Definitely. Okay, so fast forward. Jay's coming home. Picture the scene. The owner's there, but she's not alone. She's got a workmate and her partner with her.
Smart move. Very smart.
So Jay walks in, and predictably, the lies start. First, he acts shocked Stixie isn't there. Then he claims, the dog must have been hit by a car.
Classic denial and deflection. Trying to control the narrative.
But then she confronts him with Stixie, alive and well.
Yeah.
What happens then, when the proof is right there?
That's often when the mask completely slips, when they're cornered with undeniable truth.
Yeah.
Jay's real nature just came roaring out. He lashed out at her, told the owner he should have had you put down.
Oh my God. That's terrifying.
It's absolutely chilling. It's coercive control, right? That calculated behavior to dominate, to manipulate, often by trying to destroy their autonomy, their connections.
And having those witnesses there.
Absolutely critical in that moment. They heard it. They validated the threat. She wasn't alone facing that darkness.
So after dropping that bombshell, Jay just left.
He left. The full, deep motivation behind trying to kill her dog, still kind of unclear beyond just malice control.
Wow.
But the comments on the Reddit post, they really shed light on the broader picture here.
How so?
What people pointed out, this isn't, unfortunately, some bizarre isolated incident. It's a known pattern.
Right. I think I saw some of that.
Abusive partners targeting pets. It's used as a tool for control, for isolation. And terrifyingly, it's often a step before they escalate to harming their human partners.
That's a really scary thought. A major red flag people need to know.
A huge one. Never ignore threats or harm towards pets in a relationship.
And you could feel the emotion in those comments, couldn't you? The sheer anger from pet owners. Lots of John Wick references popping up.
Oh yeah, it speaks volumes about that deep human-animal bond. For so many people, pets aren't just animals, they're family.
Absolutely. And any threat feels incredibly personal, visceral. It triggers that protective instinct. Maybe it is a kind of early warning system sometimes.
It really can be. And just briefly, from the vet's perspective, this whole thing also underlines why microchipping is so vital. And it shows the kind of ownership verification protocols vets usually have in place before considering something as serious as euthanasia. They don't just take anyone's word for it. They try to confirm ownership, look for alternatives. There are ethical safeguards.
That's good to know. So thinking about this whole deep dive, What does it really tell us about trusting our gut? When a relationship just feels deeply off, even if you can't quite explain why.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway. And maybe how that incredibly deep connection we have with our animals, how that might actually serve as an invaluable early warning system sometimes, exposing the true character of people around us before we maybe see it ourselves.
Moving on to the next story. Imagine finding out, like just weeks before you get married, that your fiancé secretly invited an ex. What do you even do?
It's an absolutely wild scenario. And today, we're unpacking this series of Reddit updates. A user whose whole wedding plan just got completely turned upside down by exactly this. And the sources, they reveal some really unsettling stuff. Layers of emotional infidelity, obsession, and honestly, some shocking online stalking.
Right. So our mission here is to look at those critical red flags, try to get a handle on the emotional weight of it all, and see how this one woman dealt with a truly, truly staggering personal discovery. Let's get into it. So it starts with the original poster, who P we'll call her, finding out her fiancé Mark invited this old flame, Tracy, to their wedding. It was described as a situationship, And the key thing, he did it totally behind OOP's back.
Yeah. And initially, OOP was, she said she was more bothered by the secrecy than Tracy actually being there. She kind of thought, okay, Tracy's pregnant, she's blocked Mark, maybe not a real threat.
But, and this is a big but, Mark was still holding on to Tracy's old love letters, gifts. He talked about her, apparently, quite a bit.
Exactly. That's not just like fond memories. It hints at something.
Yeah.
Unresolved. Keeping those things, that constant talk, it really points towards emotional infidelity. He's building a future with OOP, but his emotional focus seems partly stuck in the past.
And that gut feeling OOP had, it turned out to be spot on. Things started to unravel, didn't they? It started with a conversation, I think.
It did. OOP talked to Mark's best friend, Tom. And Tom basically dropped the bomb. He revealed Mark and Tracy's relationship wasn't just casual, it was serious.
Yeah.
Like their friends thought they'd get married serious.
Whoa. So Mark had totally downplayed it.
Completely. Tom said Tracy ended it because of her religious values wanting to wait for marriage. But crucially, they'd apparently talked about maybe trying again later.
Okay, so the deception is already pretty deep there. And then there was the stuff about gifts.
Yes. It came out that Mark had given Tracy some really lavish gifts back in the day, including a Rolex for her 18th birthday. And that really stung OOP because, he'd never spent anything close to that on her. It's not just the money, right? It's about the perceived value, the investment.
Definitely sends a message. So OOP confronts Mark. How did that go down?
Oh, it went down badly. Mark admitted he never loved someone like Tracy because it was, quote, pure and innocent.
Oh.
And his reason for inviting her, get this, he wanted her to watch us together and realize what she lost.
That is incredibly messed up.
It gets worse. He also said he was hurt that Tracy was pregnant and not married, which is just bizarrely judgmental and possessive.
But wait, if Tracy had blocked him, how did he even know she was pregnant?
Yeah. That's the kicker. Mark confessed. He had 5 fake social media accounts. 5. Just to stalk Tracy.
Oh my.
And then he admitted he felt entitled to her virginity and body because he'd begged her countless times for sex. That entitlement piece is chilling.
Entitled. Stalking. This is way beyond just lingering feelings. This is scary.
Absolutely. So OOP, understandably horrified, called the wedding off immediately. Called him a creep, a man-child. Can't blame her.
Not at all. And then she did something really brave, didn't she? She reached out to Tracy.
She did. Told her everything about the stalking. They actually met up, and Tracy confirmed it. Mark's intense pressure for sex was the real reason she ended things, using religion as maybe an easier out.
Makes sense. What else did Tracy say?
She apparently said she was actually relieved when OOP started dating Mark because it gave her a solid reason to finally block him everywhere. After their chat, Tracy deactivated that old social media account Mark was stalking.
Good for her. So how does it end?
Well, the update suggests OOP is doing great, focused on her career, moving forward. She even attended Tracy's wedding, which is quite something. Mark, on the other hand, is apparently miserable. OOP described the whole thing as dodging a nuclear bomb.
Wow. What a story. So the takeaways here seem pretty stark. Minor deceptions can hide major, major issues.
Definitely. That secrecy around the guest list. It was the tip of a very disturbing iceberg obsession, entitlement, stalking, all hidden within what looked like a committed relationship. It really hammers home, trust your gut, investigate those weird feelings, because these deep-seated issues will surface and cause damage.
Yeah, it leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
It really does. It poses that question. When someone says they've moved on, what does that actually mean? How do you tell the difference between, some lingering affection and a really dangerous, unresolved obsession that could wreck everything?
A crucial distinction, something definitely to think about. Moving on to the next story.
We're looking at a story called My Boyfriend's Sister Told Me She Has Feelings for Me and I Have No Idea What to Do. It's from our Best of Redditor Updates.
Hey.
That place where people give updates on those wild relationship stories. So our mission here is to pull out the key takeaways about handling these, super tricky situations and maybe what to make of all that online advice, right? So our listener, she's 34, and she had what sounds like a pretty easygoing, kind of chill relationship with her boyfriend's younger sister, who's 29. But then last weekend, things got weird. After a couple of drinks, the sister admits she had feelings for the listener, even said something like they'd be perfect together in another life. Wow, okay, so the listener understandably just freezes up, laughs it off, awkwardly. She felt super weird about it all. And then the big question, should she tell her boyfriend? Does she risk making everything awkward or keep this secret that feels like it could just, boom, blow up later?
That's a tough spot, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating is that immediate dilemma, right? Tell him or don't tell him. And the original Reddit comments totally split down the middle, which kind of shows you how people see these things differently. Some folks were saying, look, just let it go. If she never brings it up again, maybe no need to tell the boyfriend. Their advice was basically, if it happens again, just say you're not interested in women and you're committed to him. Simple. But then others were adamant, you have to tell him immediately, saying it's, disrespectful not to, that he deserves to know that his sister can't be trusted. It really shows that huge range of opinions you get online. Anyway, she did decide to tell her boyfriend.
Okay, so she tells him. And his reaction, she said it was kind of surprising. He was just calm. Suggested his sister might just be messing around or testing you. What does that calm reaction signal to you? Especially thinking about what happened next.
Well, it immediately makes you wonder, doesn't it? Did he already know something? Or maybe his sister has a history of this kind of thing. It definitely doesn't scream total shock. Not really. And then the story takes another turn when the three of them actually sit down to talk about it. The boyfriend and the sister. They just laughed a lot.
Yeah.
And the sister claims, I was just testing you. Calls it a weird joke. Then she apologizes, says nice things, affirms she thinks the listener is great for her brother, mentions she has a boyfriend, and insists she isn't even into women like that.
A weird joke. Seriously. That sounds, pretty dismissive for something that clearly upset her. Our listener wasn't having it, though. She got kind of mad. Told them straight up not to ever pull something like that again. Ever. Good for her, honestly.
Yeah, and this really gets to the heart of it. What is this test, really? What's going on there? Because, like you said, a lot of Reddit commenters were super skeptical about that whole test excuse. Many suspected she was absolutely testing waters, seeing if there was any interest. And then, when the listener didn't bite, pulling out the classic, LOL, I was kidding excuse, there was a really strong feeling in the comments that the boyfriend might have been in on it, or at least okay with her trying it, especially given how unsurprised he seemed. Someone even called it Schrodinger's test, which is brilliant, actually.
Schrodinger's test. Explain that.
It means the intention is sort of ambiguous, right? Like Schrodinger's cat being both alive and dead until you look. Here, the sister's confession is both potentially real and a joke until she sees the listener's reaction. Then she can just claim whichever one suits the outcome. It basically puts all the pressure and awkwardness on the person being tested. It's manipulative.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the general feeling about these kinds of relationship tests was just overwhelmingly negative online. People called them immediate deal breakers. Immature, disrespectful as hell, pretty strong language. Something garbage people do was one quote.
Whoa.
Right? It wasn't just about this one incident. It tapped into this broader idea that genuine relationships need openness. Not these kinds of hidden games. It just shows how quickly trust can get shaky, doesn't it? You start wondering if every little thing might be another test.
Exactly. This story really, really underscores how vital, clear boundaries and just solid, unwavering trust are, especially when you throw family dynamics into the mix, which always adds complexity. In a healthy situation, concerns like this, they'd be talked about openly, honestly, not through some weird manipulative test.
So thinking about this, what does it all mean for you, listening? Maybe the next time you run into something that feels like a pest, even a seemingly small or innocent one in a relationship, pause and think.
When is a joke just a joke? And when might it actually signal something deeper, like a lack of respect or some kind of hidden agenda? And maybe ask yourself, what's the real cost to trust when things stay ambiguous like that? Definitely something to ponder.
Moving on to the next story.
Imagine you're at a family birthday.
Oh, great.
But
It's incredibly awkward. Like, your own relatives deliberately seat you and your mom at this, like, separate table way off somewhere. A really public diss, you know? What do? A 22-year-old woman, she finally snaps after years of this stuff, tells her dad his whole family is just dead to me.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is how fast that initial thing, the bad seating, which seems almost petty on the surface, just unravels. It pulls back the curtain on this incredibly deep and complex family situation. So the question isn't just, did she overreact?
Right.
It's more like, was this a response that was actually years overdue? Because when you dig into the post, especially the updates.
Wow. Yeah, the updates were something else.
It becomes really clear the real issue wasn't just, some rude aunts and uncles. It was years of control, isolation, actual abuse directed at her mother. And some of those details that came out later are just chilling.
Oh.
Like the father making her drop out of a university. She was 23, pregnant.
Exactly. And that wasn't just, bad timing or something. It looks like a very deliberate move.
To make her financially dependent.
Absolutely. Completely dependent. Sort of building invisible walls around her, making it almost impossible to even think about leaving. And then as more updates came in, even worse things surfaced. Physical abuse. He apparently kicked her when she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It paints a really dark picture. Calculated control, systematically stripping away her autonomy, her self-worth. It's way beyond just disrespect.
So, okay, after decades of that kind of intense control and isolation, how does the mother even start to think about getting help? Or, divorce? It seems incredible that strangers online could play such a big part.
Well, that isolation is precisely why the external validation becomes so powerful, right? The Reddit community, it sort of became this unexpected mirror. It reflected a reality back at her that she'd been, actively denied for years and years. She'd internalized so much blame. That's classic gaslighting, Years of manipulation just twist your perception of reality until you doubt yourself constantly.
So she felt guilty, even after everything.
Her first reaction was feeling bad about causing trouble. Right? That's a really common sign of trauma bonding. This unhealthy attachment to the abuser makes leaving feel almost unthinkable without some kind of major external shock to the system.
So where does that leave them now? The original poster and her mom. It sounds like despite everything, reading those comments from people, online strangers, saying, you're not crazy, this is wrong.
Yeah.
That really was the spark. It kind of opened her eyes, got her considering divorce, taking back her life. It's a huge turnaround.
It is a massive shift. And it wasn't just the online validation, though that was clearly the catalyst.
As the support system kicked in, too.
Exactly. The daughter was unwavering. She has a good job, which helps. And crucially, the mother's own family, her siblings, they stepped up big time, offering financial help, even help with legal fees.
That makes such a difference.
It makes it real. That network turned the idea of freedom into something tangible, something actually achievable.
So if we kind of connect this to the bigger picture, it really shows how insidious abuse can be, how it warps someone's reality until they blame themselves. What really struck us about this AITH post and what we wanted to unpack wasn't just the abuse itself, but how powerfully and quickly that validation from an online community cut through everything, cut through years of isolation and gaslighting. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is that specific role of external perspectives, even anonymous online ones, in helping people see the truth of their situation?
Yeah, it's that outside voice just saying, basically, you deserve better, you deserve respect. That's what seems to have finally broken through that learned helplessness. It helped her see her own value again.
So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Think about how you might be that external perspective for someone. Sometimes just offering validation, saying, I hear you. That sounds incredibly tough. Your words, even just being there, could be the thing that helps someone recognize their own worth and see a path to freedom they couldn't see before.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope it gave you plenty to consider.